Hello and a very happy new year it is indeed. I hope you all had a wonderful festive period and a fantastic new year, and you enjoyed your break from home and away. I'm sure you all did. Welcome. I'm Cy Hampton. This is Coastal News, an unofficial home and away podcast, season 2. We're back. The show is back as well, weeknights on Channel 5 and 5 Star. What a week. It's been such a long gap this year. We're back. The show is up and running, and so is season 2 of the podcast. I'm so excited to be back. I have missed recording these podcasts, and I'm really excited to be getting on and back to our weekly episode roundup. If you're new to the podcast, do follow, subscribe, and now you can rate as well if you're on Spotify. Give us a rating. Go on. It really helps support it. And you too can hear my thoughts, join in with other fans, a conversation as episodes air. It's a really nice community. Welcome. I'm just very happy that we're back. New feature this year as well for season 2, and we're calling it First Look, where at the end of each episode we'll be going through the synopsis of the episodes in the week ahead, so we get a quick heads up of what to expect on Home and Away in the coming week, and also what we'll be discussing on the podcast. So stick around for that later. In the meantime, let's do this. New year, and we have picked it up at this chemical attack at Salt. We were left on this big cliffhanger, weren't we? Back in November now, which just seems like such a long time ago. So we've got Tane down in the gym, just to sort of recap our minds. He's been poisoned by something in his Lucozade or what have you, and there's this gas or this chemical being released. He's unconscious. He's in a really bad way, and in a really poorly designed air conditioning unit pumps all that upstairs to Salt, where the entire bay more or less is there for for a mental health event, would you believe? So and you know, oh no, we would get away with, you know, a gas attack at a mental health event, but there we go. It's an important message and all that, and Martha's doing really well, you know, raising awareness, and she's done the whole stressing out about the painting and all the rest of it, and there's a gas attack, and it's all mental health, so never mind. I'm going to say we're going to look over that. You shouldn't really look over that issue, but I think only a show like Homer's will get away with something like that, and they just about do it. So everybody upstairs is enjoying the party. Everybody downstairs, Tane downstairs, unconscious, and Martha's looking a bit crook, isn't she? She's sat right under this vent that's raining out this pesticide all over her. She's not feeling well. Irene soon follows her, and this alerts Cash to the fact that there's something not right, and the word that we've not had in Summer Bay yet, lockdown. He locks everybody down. In fact, he announces that this is a lockdown. So there we go. You know, we've managed to escape COVID in the Bay, but we've still managed to have a lockdown. So there we go. Nowhere in the world is safe from lockdowns, guys. Nowhere is safe. You know, he sort of quarantines everybody, which seemed a bit odd. And I know, looking online as people tweeting along and whatnot, there was a bit of a everyone was like, why is he? Surely get everybody outside in the open space. But I think the justification of that was his, keeping everybody contained because they might contaminate others, which did seem to go by the wayside a little bit later on in the episode. So there was just so much happening. I'm probably missing loads at this point, but it was trying to contain everybody. Leah and Justin were having this Barney on the back, and they're always having a Barney lately, aren't they, about Theo? Talk more about him later. But they got split up as Justin was on the phone, on the balcony. He shuts them out, doesn't let them in, even though they've been in the party. Like, he just locks them out on the balcony, not knowing what's going on. Imagine that. They'd been inside anyway, so, what's the what's the big deal? They're probably contaminated anyway, but never mind, lockdown and all. And then, yeah, there's just this mass panic. Alf is beside himself when Martha looks real crook. She takes a turn for the worse. She needs, medical help, and he's beside himself, as is everybody, really. And obviously Irene and Marilyn don't look too great either. Help arrives, and we get to see John. Was it John in the hazmat? Was John one of the guys in the hazmat suit? Because honestly, I had to rewind the TV. It was hilarious. Please let it be John. I'm convinced it was John helping out the hazmat guys. I mean, where did he get that hazmat suit from? Do the hazmat team just let people do that? I mean, I know he's the manager of the place and he was probably helping him with the layout, but yeah, he was definitely there, wasn't he? He helped identify Tane when they discovered him in the office, lifeless on the floor, bless. So, yeah, John, hilarious moment, John in his hazmat suit, and Logan has obviously arrived, and he's gone to Logan's Superman mode, and has just sort of adrenaline going, pumping in, and he's sort of gone in to help. And I loved that scene, a bit later on when it all sort of calmed down a bit. And Logan was sort of talking with Mark and sort of, went to Salt to see her after she was allowed back in, and it was all cleaned up. And she was like, because they had this moment, didn't they, last year, where she was a bit, he'd give up his job, and she was a bit like, he's giving up everything for me, and he's going to resent me, yada yada yada. And she was a bit like, see, that's you, Logan. That you're this adrenaline junkie. You need it. Go and get your job back if you want. And I thought, it's quite a nice scene because we know that she's really into him, but she said to him, if you want to be that person, go. It's not like this around here all the time. It actually is, but never mind, Mac. You can't fool us. It's not our first rodeo. So, yeah, I thought it was a nice scene, after the, and he sort of reassures her that, yes, that's part of his life, but it's not everything about him. I just really like them as a couple. What do you guys say? I know they're a bit hit and miss with people, but yeah, I like them as a couple. Everybody gets hospital help anyway, and sort of we move on from the drama of the actual attack onto the sort of aftermath and the effects that it has on the community post this big event happening. And I'm just going to break down, should I say, the sort of avenues we've got to explore now about what effect it's having now on the wider community. So there's a few different things going on. Medically, we've got Tane now. He's in a coma, he's unconscious, and he's in a really bad way. He's at the hospital. Nobody can see him because of the amount of contamination he's got. We don't know what state he's in really as a viewer. We've not really been given much about his state other than, obviously his family coming around the hospital and coming through. I hope he pulls through. He's a great part of the Bay, and, he didn't deserve it. And also he holds the key to who did it, right? He saw his attacker before they opened all the pesticide on him. He saw the attacker, so he knows who did it, and at this point he's the only one. So for dramatic effect, obviously, the writers have kept him unconscious for a bit to keep this going a bit longer, but it is going to start, I hope he wakes up soon, because it is going to start getting to a point where poor Flick's going to lose her mind. We'll come on to that in a mo. But yeah, so Tane's in a really bad way. Martha as well, she's not taken well to it at all. She's a delicate flower, isn't she, Martha? Really delicate. She's had really severe reaction, and for days this week we didn't really know. Both her and Tane were in bad ways. Irene and Marilyn were cleared, released, and we don't actually know whether Martha and Tane are gonna get through this. And it's a bit touch and go, and obviously everyone's beside themselves. Rue and Alf, they're absolutely in bits about this because Martha's not, she's going to be, I feel like, her mental health and, everything she's tried to achieve with the event itself. I think she's going to take a lot of that on. I think that's going to be, if she pulls through and she's okay, she's going to be taking a lot of that on, I think, mentally. And I think Alpha and Rue are thinking, you know, ahead after this and recovery, post recovery, what effect is that going to have? That you know, such bad things happen to people as a result of being there at her event. I think she's going to take a lot of that burden, I really do. And I think Rue can probably see that. She's not vocalised it to anybody yet, but she can probably see that. We do get a little bit of good news about Martha, though. A little bit later in the week, we find out at the very end of the week she's woken up, and you know, Rue's in the diner with Irene, and she's sort of gossiping a little bit. She's saying, you know, Flick took that AVO out against Tane on the day of the attack, so it, you know, I don't want to accuse her, but you know, it doesn't look good for her, kind of thing. And she gets that phone call from the hospital saying that she's woke up. Martha's woke up, and off she goes to the hospital to see her. So we've not seen that yet, so we'll probably get all that next week on screen. But it is good that she's awake and Rue can just step down a bit. As I say, I think there's loads more to come about Martha blaming herself for other people being unwell. Tane we're still unaware of. He still seems in a really bad way. The Paratas are obviously rallying round, and lots of high, you know, emotionally fueled, that's what I'm looking for. Emotionally fueled scenes at the hospital with Ari and Mia, because she brings up the adoption, and you know, and they have a bit of an emotional sort of spat at each other. But obviously ultimately need to stick together. Is this adoption going to happen? There just seems to be something all the time, doesn't there? You know, it's like the will they, won't they adopt. What do you guys think? I don't think it's going to happen. You know, there's just too many things now getting in the way. It's like a sign, you know, that this was just not meant to be. You know, maybe this just wasn't what was meant to happen. You know, it's heartbreaking, really. I'm not the biggest fan of Mia. Regular listeners will know, and we've spoken about this a lot online. But yeah, I wouldn't wish that upon them, though. And they've had such tragic events happen to them already. You know, it's just like one thing after another. And you know, if Tane pulls through, what's his recovery going to look like? Is getting a baby here or the thing? And Ari did that suggestion, didn't he, where he sort of said, you know, take me off the application, and she's adamant. She's like, no, we're having a baby together and we'll do this together. But at some point, I think they're going to have to face facts that the universe just doesn't want that to happen. You know, am I just being a bit pessimistic? Maybe, yeah. Maybe I am, because they're just not my favourite people in the world. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. In the meantime, Ari's right. He's got a brother to focus on who's critical, and we don't know whether he's going to pull through. The other side of the sort of fallout from the Bay is obviously the investigation into who did it. It quickly becomes apparent that Tane was targeted, and Cash saw the rose, didn't he, being carted away from the scene, and there was this moment of him, which was a great moment in throughout all this sort of madness going on, of him realising that yes, Felicity has done it. There was this AVO thing, big fallout, you know, he accused her of being a stalker, and you know, these roses have been left, you know, and left on his car and left at his house and all the rest of it. So he sees the rose and he puts two and two together, and he goes to Flick's caravan. I don't, you know, I thought at the beginning, you know, does he actually think she could do this, you know? And then I sat back and thought about it a bit, and I thought, you know, maybe he just had to see for himself. Maybe there was just a little doubt in his mind, and he just had to go and he just had to see for himself where she was. And does that mean he thinks that she is a, you know, murderer, you know, or attempted murder? I don't know. I think deep down he knows she's not capable of it, but, you know, the facts laid out in front of him just seem to be unbelievable to him as well. I think he's struggling with the battle between the two there, Cash. You know, policeman and brother sort of clashing against each other. and I think he's struggling with that battle, and the objective evidence that is in front of him. I think he's starting to doubt his allegiance a little bit, and that just makes me feel a bit sorry for Felicity, because as a viewer, it's becoming a little apparent now that she's probably not done this. It's it's a little bit too obvious. She's probably being set up. We didn't see the face of the attacker, just the boots in the dark shadow of the gym when she approached Tane, rather. So, the only person who knows is Tane, so we need Tane to wake up so that Felicity is off the hook. And I think until then, her life is going to be hell. It really is. And obviously, as we watched out the week, it is. She's battling with this whole Cash not really believing her in her eyes, and then obviously Jasmine finds a receipt, a very vague receipt, I might add, that to me wouldn't prove anything in the cause, but there we go. It finds this receipt in the caravan of this pesticide being bought, and it's like the end of the world. And Jasmine didn't really behave too good there, I didn't think. She could have just confronted her right off. I think she even said that, Felicity, later on, didn't she? She said, why don't you just ask me about this receipt rather than sneak off, because I would have denied it there for you. I think it's becoming quite apparent now. Felicity's nothing to do with this, and she's in a major setup. We all know, don't we? It's that dodgy friend from the bar. It's got to be. She's the only one that's had access to the caravan as well. So I'm trying to work out the motive, though, guys. And I was chatting with someone about this the other day. They said the motive was jealousy. She got with Tane and what have you. But I don't know if that washes with me. If that is the only motive, it's a bit weak, because if you then hurt Tane, I mean, what have you achieved? You're not going to end up with him. Do you know what I mean? So it can't be that. I mean, and if it is, it's very, very poor. It's very, very weak. So, yeah, I just can't see. I just can't see that being it. Is it jealousy from her? Does she want a relationship with Felicity maybe, and wants Tane out of the picture? I don't know. It's a bit extreme, whatever it is, and I'm sure it'll be explained, but I feel like it's going to be very, very weak explanation, and I think we're going to be very disappointed with it. I can't think of any other way that's going to go. If you can, reach out to me, because I'd love to hear your thoughts. I just can't see it being any other way than being jealous of Tane and her wanting a relationship with Felicity, which isn't very home and away, really, is it? But that's definitely the girl she works with at the bar. So something's going on there. She's trying to set her up, and Cash is going to get in trouble, isn't he? He's burnt that receipt. The AFP they're in, the feds are in, and they're sniffing about, they're interviewing folk, they're trying to get to the bottom of it, and he got rid of that evidence. Cash is going to get in real trouble. Are we about to lose another police officer? I hope not. He's been here 5 minutes, and I said on previous episodes, he's settling in well, man. He's doing good. He treads the line of community officer and strict cop very, very well. Better than I thought Colby ever did. And even some of the greats like Cat Chapman and Charlie Buckton, I think he's really good at that sort of towing the line with the community and getting them on side. He did it really quickly. I like that about him. So I hope he don't get suspended or sacked or what have you, or worse, exiled off to Yabby Creek, one of the further away towns, Yeah, so he's going to get in trouble, isn't he? He's just burnt evidence. Not only that, at the very least, he then throws a burning paper receipt onto grass. I mean, has he not heard about the blooming fires in Australia, the wildfires, how dangerous that is? It's summer over there at the moment as well. I mean, come on, man. Just nearly started a forest fire in the caravan park. Not good. And the medical fallout of the bay, just as we think we're done with it, it carries on. The medical fallout of the attack, it sort of rears its head a few days after Marilyn suddenly just starts feeling crook, and she doesn't look too good. And on her way home from a late night shift at the diner, she's collapsed, and I was a bit taken aback by this because I wasn't expecting this. She was looking good. She was back at the diner. She, her and Irene were having, relief chats about, debriefs, at work, saying we're so lucky and da 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 da. And bless her, she's one of those characters everybody just loves. So to see her go through something is really touching. So she's stuck on the floor. She seems to be paralysed. And when they get her to the hospital, Logan hasn't got a clue what's up with her. Like, what is going on? What is going to happen with Marilyn? So very, very worried for her. And then right at the very end of the week, it looks like it's affecting her lungs and they've put her in a coma. I mean, what's going on? Remember last time Marilyn was in a coma, she woke up and thought she was still married to Fisher. Was that the last time? That was hilarious either way. So we're either in for something really tragic or really hilarious, but it's not good. It's not good. We don't like Marilyn this way. Hopefully she pulls through. But I mean, as far as we're up to, she's being sedated, she's been put in a coma, and Logan hasn't got a clue what's wrong with her. And the worries just don't stop for Alf. He's there by her side again. Martha's just woke up and Marilyn ends up in a coma. I mean, it's like trading one off for another, so it's just not going to end for Alf, I don't think. All the Stewarts, the extended Stewart family, it's just not going to end. Got to mention now, such a good thing happened. I can't believe it did. Not really the way I wanted it to, but Chloe and Ryder have broken up. Chloe and Ryder have broken up. Chloe and Ryder have broken up. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So happy this happened. I was a bit pissed off the way it happened though, because Chloe ended it with Ryder. All this talk about Ryder and Theo and this whole love triangle that's clearly going to be happening. Ryder's obviously got this little bit of a trust issue with Theo. There's this issue with Theo, and he's reluctantly sort of going along with it. And there's these moments where, he sort of agrees an almost semi-truce with Theo just because he knows that he's part of the Bay now, and he's around, and he's not going to be going anywhere, is he? And Chloe ends it because she says, she can't believe that Ryder had to ask her if she'd slept with him. And I'm like, hello, you would have done, and you've been all over him, girl. Like, I remember, just because we've had a Christmas break, podcaster never forgets, right? So, Chloe, my favourite character, as you know, dumps Ryder, who is actually one of my favourite characters. So I'm really annoyed, but happy at the same time, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are as well. But I'm pissed off at the way she, the way that she did it. Her excuse was, you don't trust me and you asked me about sleeping with him. Hello. That whole Nick and Bella affair, and you were going absolutely skits at Bella for not forgiving Nick for actually having an affair, but you're willing to end your relationship with Ryder because he just asked a question. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous. We don't like you. You're absolutely ludicrous. It's all absolutely ludicrous. Thank God you're over. And if Ryder goes back to you, he's absolutely ludicrous as well. Okay? I have spoken. Okay. Not happy in the slightest at the outcome of that at all. However, they're broken up, they're apart. Ryder can now get back to his good self, I hope. I still think he's going to be amicable. I mean, it didn't really, them being amicable didn't really last that long, because then this whole, Theo conversation with Nick about him basically just being a teenage boy, and boasting about sleeping with a girl when he didn't, meant that Bella, being Bella, just came out with it and obviously caused a bit of an issue. So we've not seen anything since then, but obviously Ryder's going to think that happened now, and there's always going to be a doubt, isn't there? There was going to be that sort of trust thing anyway, like, did they, he could have chosen to believe that it didn't happen, but now it's, I don't think there's going back now from that. I think he's always going to be a doubt, isn't there? And Ryder, pal, you can do much better. I've said this before. If you're listening, if you just sit there, after your shift at Salt at night and just put on Coastal News podcast and just have a bit of a catch up, you can do better, pal. Take it from me. Oh dear. They've agreed to carry on working together though, haven't they? So I think they're still going to be all that whole sort of group, that young group of characters are all going to still be hanging out, I think. But Theo's going to continue to be a thorn in everyone's side. I love how Ziggy handled him at work. And he was like, oh, I thought Ziggy would be a bloke. And she was like, well, I thought you'd be on time. Go on, Ziggy. Go on. And obviously he does something really bad where he just basically frauds a customer. You know, he overcharges them and tries to split the money with Ziggy. It's going to be interesting now to see what she does, whether she plays it cool and, you know, sort of just makes him refund it and put it back, which she did do. You know, she made him call a customer back and sort it all out and correct that. But will she tell Justin? You know, there's already this issue with Justin and Leah and Theo and having him in the house, and you know, and it's just not going well at home that way. Will she tell him? Will she cause more trouble? Will she stick that knife in? I don't know. I think if she doesn't, I think she, you know, her relationship with Justin, a professional relationship, and her friendship with him has been a bit rocky this past 12 months. You know, does she want to risk rocking the boat when they're just getting things back on track herself, you know, Ziggy and Justin? So I think she'll tell him, but I think Ziggy's a smart girl. She knows when to, and she knows when to pick a moment. So I think Theo's got some interesting scenes ahead with Justin again. And of course Leah will take his side. You know, after all, he did buy her a giant teddy bear named Bernice. #random. Right, now on to First Look now, a brand new segment to the podcast for Season 2 where we take a look ahead of the episodes coming up to give us a bit of a first look about what we might be discussing on next week's podcast and also on social media during the week. Speaking of which, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Coastal News Pod, where we discuss you know, all the episodes as they unfold, on the hashtag Home and Away as well. I love chatting and tweeting and things with you guys, so keep that up. Do get in touch as well if you want to be involved in the conversation on a future podcast episode. Loads more interaction coming in Season 2 as well. So quick peek ahead at next week's episodes. If you don't like spoilers, maybe skip forward just a couple of minutes while we just discuss these episode synopsises. So without further ado, let's get on. So Monday, Ziggy arrives just in time to take her first surf class. That's right, because Ziggy and Dean last week, you know, Dean tried to go back to work, didn't he? And there was this, you know, issue with him being, you know, he got knocked over and in pain and it's too early, and he had this rat-a-tat with Ziggy again, and I was a bit, I'm sure many others were a bit, a bit annoyed, worried as well about it going down the road of them two rowing again, and we don't want any of that. I am not looking forward to seeing them disagree all the time. We've had enough of that last year, and they've only just got together and they don't seem to have been happy, have they, since? However, it is good that his recovery isn't just, you know, speeding along way too quickly and he's already running a marathon. You know, he tried to go back to work and he realised he needs help, and with Nico looking after the board shop, he's drummed up loads more interest because, you know, he's such a celebrity. Everyone wants to surf lessons, so it sounds like then, looking at this synopsis, Ziggy definitely agrees to go in and do more surf lessons. How she finds enough hours in the day when she's got to babysit Theo at the garage, I have no idea. It does mention on this synopsis here John's hesitation for her lack of experience, so it sounds like surf club manager John has got his little health and safety helmet back on. Dean maintains his faith in her and they head into the club. Sounds like an interesting start to the week. So Dean's happy with her on board, giving out surf lessons at the surf club. On to Tuesday, so Dean still can't believe Ziggy didn't disclose the surf lessons incident. There's an incident. Clearly that Monday episode is more interesting than it reads, clearly. Something must go down then. Ziggy clearly doesn't have the surf skills that she thinks she's got, maybe. I don't know. Tane's toxin exposure levels have decreased enough for Ari and Nico to go into his room. Oh, that's good. Oh, I am pleased about that. You know, I mean, that's Tuesday, so that's like a week and a half since the attack, you know. Yeah, you know, it sounds like he might be on the mend then, basically. But I'm really glad that, you know, Ari and Nico will get to go and see him properly because, you know, it must be torture for them at the moment. Let's go. Ari immediately questions if he remembers anything about the incident. Oh, immediately questions Tane. Oh, so Tane's awake, mate. Tane must be awake by the next episode. We are moving fast here now. Talk about slow recovery for Dean, but the miracles are happening for Tane. Must be. Mia disapproves and orders Ari out of the ICU room. Oof. Okay, more family drama going on there then. And clearly, I'm getting all tongue-tied now. Mia must think Ari's pressuring him too much. Ari must be going into sort of protective mode, wants revenge, wants to find out who's done it type mode. Probably by this point in the week as well. These rumours about Felicity and the rumour mill must be going wild, because it already was doing at the end of this week. So by mid next week, I bet they all just I bet Felicity's got an absolute target on her back, bless her. Moving on to Thursday, so Felicity wakes to a banging at her door. See, you know, all these outshack towns, you know, these small communities, they're gonna be out of the caravan door with pickaxes and God knows what. Oh, it's Alf apparently on the next line. It's Alf who wants to know why her van has been vandalised. See what I mean? Target on her back. It's as if I've watched this show for years, you know. It's as if I've watched it for years. And then finally Friday, after the success of their online stunt, Theo sees an opportunity to make money. Oh, so we're flicking to the young guns then by the looks of it. So Theo sees an opportunity to make money after an online stunt. Okay, that sounds ominous, doesn't it? While Felicity pleads her innocence, insisting she's been framed. Okay, so Tani mustn't still be talking by Friday next week. That's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Right, that's all we've got time for today's episode of Coastal News, an unofficial home and away podcast. Thank you for listening. We're back weekly now with new episodes every weekend as the episodes have aired on Channel 5. Do join us on social media, #HomeAndAway or at Coastal News Pod. And remember, you can rate the podcast now. Give us a rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And also follow it, so make sure you get notifications of new episodes. Thank you so much for listening, and I will speak to you all very, very soon. Have a fab week. Bye.